Hey there. There's a very nice incident narrated relevant to the Fairplay matter in Arthur Hailey's book The Money Changers, which is as follows. A bank was facing a severe drain on its cash resources because its saving account holders had a sudden loss of confidence in that bank. They all suddenly came as a big mob together to withdraw all their savings. The mob was obviously hostile and creating tremendous unrest to spread panic. There was a heated discussion in the board of the bank. The board was considering various firefighting options to deal with this situation. Options of calling in police, shutting the bank early, and defensive and negative means were being explored. The situation of low cash reserves was worsening, and tempers among the mob were running high. Press and media TV cameras had also gathered and were interviewing the people in the long queues. The bank was facing one of its greatest crises. One of the senior vice presidents, a finance man, disagreed with all these options. His sense of fair play opined that what the people were doing was not wrong. After all, they were taking back their own money, which they were entitled to. The bank had no reason to stop, nor even make it difficult for them. Amidst tremendous opposition and sardonic remarks from the rest of the senior board members, he asked for some hours to review the situation. He went to the front side of the bank, where these huge queues were lined up and getting louder and more belligerent in full view of the media. As soon as he arrived, a huge roar came from the crowd, anticipating some negative and aggressive measure. They all expected that the bank would close early, making it difficult for them to withdraw their money. However, the senior vice president did exactly the opposite. He announced that the bank understood the needs of its account holders and, in order to accommodate them, the bank's cash payment counters would remain open for an extra 2 hours. The entire crowd and the media anchors were stunned. They expected him to do something exactly the opposite. This announcement had a positive impact, and some of the people in the queue looked at him with a newfound respect. He came and pleasantly met various account holders who had been patiently waiting in the queue and spoke cordially with them. This befriended him to many more of those in the queue, and there were lesser shouts and more murmurs, which probably were not against the bank. However, what took the cake was a small incident which was caught live on TV and telecast all over. This incident turned the tide completely in favor of the bank. An old couple, probably above 60, had just left the cash counter after having withdrawn a large sum of money and they were putting their cash into a bag. The SVP noticed their struggle and went across and helped them to pack the money neatly and bid them good luck. He learned from them that they had been with the bank for over 40 years and were taking with them their entire life savings. Seeing that they were old, he asked where they were going and where they stayed. The SVP came to know that they were staying at a distant place where it was not very safe to travel, and he also learned that they did not have any transportation of their own. The good natured senior vice president immediately called his security chief and personally requested him to provide the bank car to help this old couple out. The old couple were wonder stricken. The old man said that even though they had come to cut out all the ties with the bank, they were doing all this. The SVP replied that after having banked with the bank for 40 years, the least that the bank could do was provide the last visit ride home safely. It was, after all, a bank for the customers like them. That was it. The old man was completely transformed. He asked the senior vice president to tell him truthfully whether the bank was safe to deposit money and whether the SVP himself would place his own money in the bank. The senior vice president replied that he would have no hesitation in putting more money and that the bank was absolutely safe. The old man announced that if the bank had people like the senior vice president, he was very comfortable and that he did not see any reason to withdraw his money. He announced loudly in front of the TV cameras to the queue that he was happy and confident that the bank was safe, and this was telecast all over the country live. He redeposited the cash withdrawn by him in full view of the entire country. The impact on the mob in the queue was phenomenal. An entire mob dispersed within minutes thereafter, crisis being diffused, and most importantly, the bank's image was actually enhanced. Now, the symbolic relevance is that fair play, ethics, and good natured behavior, when in adversity, has its own strength, which has to be tried out and experienced to be believed. This is possible only when one does one's duty irrespective of the circumstances. In the above cases, amidst the fury, among, among, amidst the fury of the mob, amidst protest from the board of directors, the SVP did what he felt was his duty. He could have easily behaved as an indifferent employee and let the police take control over the bank. However, he decided to do what he felt was his duty above everything else. Good traits like honesty, fair play, compassion will arise only when one gets into the habit of doing one's duty without worrying about the consequences. In the Gita, there is this shlok in chapter 2, verse 47, which we all have heard, that is Karmanye Vadhikaraste, Ma Phaleshu Kadachana, Ma Karm Phal Hetur Bhurma, Te Sango Karmani. The simplified meaning of this shlok is that one should do what one's sense of duty says, irrespective of the circumstances and consequences. Thus, whether it is a friend or a foe, what has to be done must be done. If this is the case, the consequences are bound to be good. Do not have any such expectations. However, remain calm, even if the results are not what you expect. In the above example, the senior vice president offered assistance to the old couple as he felt that it was his duty on humanitarian ground. He felt that the situation demanded a supporting hand, even though the old man was actually against the bank and its employees, and he was a dissatisfied customer leaving the bank in adverse circumstances. It was obvious that the senior vice president was not expecting anything from the couple, as they had already withdrawn their savings and were on their way out. In life, we do not hesitate a moment to retaliate, resist, or fight any kind of opposition. But if we try to return good for adverse or wrong behavior, the results are certain to be good sooner or later. We must do what our conscience asks us to do, whether it is to help a foe or turn against a friend if he's doing something wrong. That's all for the day. Thank you.